Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of the Temple Formula Racing Podcast with your co-hosts, Ashley, Lil, and Chris. Thank you for joining us.
This week's episode, we're going to be covering kind of just a team update on what the team's been up to since we've last talked.
And then we're going to move on to an interview with one of our system leads, Greg, who is Powertrain. And then we will go on to a hashtag TFR Pod question and answer segment. And then finally, as our grand finale for this podcast, we will be interviewing our team president, Cybil.
All right, before all of that, we're going to get to Lil with a little team update and the Lil report. Lil, what can you tell us? What's been happening with TFR?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're trying to stay on schedule. So we have ample time before, comp. So we want to make sure next semester we have enough time to have the 2021 car out in the parking lot. Some big updates that we're still moving forward with are changes in suspension. We also have powertrain and electrical getting back and fixing up the 2020 car so we can start testing that one this semester. We are starting to machine components in the machine shop thanks to the manufacturing system. Shout out to you. And also, without giving too much away, that's pretty much it. Back to you, Ashley and Chris.
We didn't go anywhere.
Good.
Thanks, Lil.
Right here.
I do want to add, Cybil just sent us a message in the Slack the other day that we did get our registration number, which is 61.
Oh, I thought it was 62.
Exciting.
Oh.
It's totally 62.
Let me check the Slack real quick. Hold on. It's in
62.
general.
Hashtag TFR 62.
All right, sorry. Hashtag 62. So that means we have a new hashtag. Feel free to use it as much as you'd like. Hashtag TFR 62.
We are pumped because we got a small number. Last year we were 91, so.
Joining us now is a Powertrain System Lead, Greg Altman. So Greg, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Why Temple, why engineering, what you do on the team, stuff like that?
Sure, yeah. So TFR is actually really important to my story with Temple. So I'm a little bit older than your average Temple student. I'm 34. I went to college. I went to Drexel right out of high school. On a nice little ride there. I had a really good time, both academically and socially. And I just basically decided, I decided to go for information science, and I got a co-op doing that, and it was super boring and really uninteresting to me. So it was a great experience for learning what I didn't want to do. At the same time, I was also doing some stuff in the music industry that was kind of distracting me from academic stuff. So I ended up deciding to quit college and go on tour for a long time. I did that on and off for maybe 6 or so years, and then I spent a long time doing recording and live show and venue management and stuff like that. I owned a recording studio for a while, recorded bands from England and Japan and all sorts of fun stuff like that. So I got to do a lot of fun things in the music industry, but I got to a point where I just wanted something a little bit more lucrative, to be blunt about it. It's music's fun and it's really rewarding, and I got to I got to play guitar in every state in the United States. That was a very cool thing to do, but I definitely grew to a point. I got married last year, and I'm at a point in my life where I'm okay, playing guitar is fun and all, but maybe it's time to really face the music a little bit. Basically I took a tour of the engineering college, and the last stop was the TFR, the little skunk works there in the basement, and I instantly fell in love. I decided to go back to school, and maybe, I don't know, within a couple weeks, I met Hunter, and 2 days after meeting him, I was driving the car in the parking lot, and that was history. I was completely hooked after that. So TFR was a motivating and important factor in getting this old guy back in the classroom.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
I had a whole other weird life before engineering. I don't know.
Yeah. No, one of Lil's goals is to go to all 50 states, right, Lil?
Yeah. I'm at 46, though.
Wow, you're close. Where do you still have to go?
Delaware,
Which
Nevada.
is right there.
Yeah, it's down the road.
Nevada, Alaska, and Hawaii. So.
Okay. Well, those are. I mean, Delaware.
Yep.
I could go there like today if I wanted to.
Yeah, it's like one of these is not like the other. Delaware is actually nice. I really like the beaches in Delaware. Fantastic. But yeah, I mean, Alaska, Hawaii, and Nevada, those are all very special trips. Those are like cool places to go to.
Yeah.
The fun thing that's really irreplaceable about like touring, and I miss it very much right now, especially that like, we can't really even go outside that much. Driving across the country, like with your best friends, like jammed into a little van, is a pretty special thing, like sitting there with your best buddies, like just watching the mountain ranges kind of like melt into each other. It's a cool way to see the continent, but yeah, so nonetheless, here I am, still playing music and doing like fun stuff like that. But at this point, it's really more of just something that I'm going to maintain because it's like, it's nice. It's fun to see my friends.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so for those people that don't know, if they're listening, like what Powertrain is, do you want to do like a quick description on what Powertrain is? Sure. And, what you've worked on and stuff like that?
Sure. So, I mean, I guess the Powertrain components might seem obvious to somebody that's really associated with cars, but maybe not if you just like to get in them and go. We're really dealing with like the engine, the intake and exhaust components, basically everything that actually creates the mechanical power that's going to push the car forward. We're also dealing with the transmission of that power to the ground. So everything between the engine and the wheels, which includes the transmission. In our car, it's, we got sprockets and a chain to deal with, the differential, all that kind of fun stuff. So basically, we are everything that makes the car go forward. Yeah, I think that pretty much does it.
Do you want to take a minute to like brag about some of the specs that we have on Powertrain?
Sure. I mean, the car itself it's a CBR 600RR engine. It's from Honda CBR 600 sport bike. One thing that I'm actually pushing for this year is to get an entire sport bike for the team so that we can kind of dissect it and really get to understand it a little bit better. Which also, one thing that I'm pushing for is right now we've been on this kind of kick of sticking with an engine from 2008, which I haven't verified it, but I've got good reason to believe that we don't need to stick with a 2008 engine. I'm 99% sure that all of the engines share mounting points, and we had previous information that was a more powerful year of the engine, which is it's funny, but I also don't think it's true. I think that was maybe something that Honda put in there to satisfy like EPA regulations. There is some rumors that if you get a 2007 ECU on the car, it'll go faster. I don't know. But yeah, that's what we're dealing with. It's a sport bike powerhouse. Everything else is pretty. It's a lot of Honda stuff. We have a whole custom intake that we designed last year. We got to metalize that after we 3D printed it, which was pretty fun. We also had one of our team members design the differential, mounting system, which is a pretty heavy undertaking, but we're hoping to be able to test that this year on the running car.
Yeah, I'm so excited to take apart a motorcycle. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. Trust me, I do it all the time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Greg, I know you touched on it a little bit before, but for people interested, how did you join TFR and what can you tell us about it?
Sure. So I just, for me, it was just initiative based. I was like, not going to take no for an answer. So I went to the shop. I saw a thing on the door that said like, email this person. So I think I emailed the faculty advisor. I emailed the president. I probably put my resume in there. I probably put an unnecessary cover letter. I just went like over the top mostly because I was excited, but also because I just didn't want to get lost in the shuffle. So that got me connected with the president at the time, who was Hunter Hayes. And over the summer, because I started over the summer, it was a weird time to come in. So it was really just sort of a free-for-all. There wasn't a lot of people working, so we had a lot of creative time to like just sort of explore stuff. So it's a nice way to get acquainted with the team.
Yeah, and then with that, like, how did you like get where you are on the team? Like, what were the steps that like led you to now be a powertrain lead? You're like leading the team.
Yeah, I don't think that I did anything. I think it's really just a function of some of it's just being older and having like a little bit more life experience when it comes to like silly things that might not seem important, like just keeping a group meeting on focus or something. I'm not afraid to be the guy that says like, hey, everybody, can we try to like get back to the topic at hand? Which can be important when you have a lot of like really bright minds in the same room and everybody's thinking 1,000 thoughts, like the stuff can kind of ping pong around a lot. So I think just maybe my ability to sort of like confidently speak about powertrain components and stuff like that. I mean, that just comes from, I don't have any formal education up until this experience with college. I don't have any formal education in automotive engineering or electrical engineering or really any of this stuff, but I am a very curious person and I like to stay busy. So I'm always like taking stuff apart. And I think just from like years of fixing cars, it kind of like came naturally to me that people were like, okay, well, between me and Jay and Schmitty, we try our best to cover all of the bases that we can with powertrain.
Yeah, and those two like drive for solutions and problems is like a key factor for the team, would you say?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, it's powertrain's really tough like that because it is such an I don't want to say all-encompassing, that's the wrong word. It's just a complicated system, It's got a lot of literal moving components. They're all kind of doing a dance together, and you really can't just kind of engineer without regard to other things along the line. So, we need to be sort of looking over a lot of different items at the same time in order to make sure that the car actually runs, which is one of our most important goals this year. We want to have a running car so that all the other systems can actually validate the stuff that they do. That's really important for us.
So is that why you like powertrain? Is because it's very connected with other systems, or is there another reason?
I don't know why I like it. I think but there's a lot of other things that it might be easier to like. That, you know what I mean? Like, like, what if I just like the laws? Like I could just be a lawyer, be rich or something. I don't know. There's easier stuff to like than motors, but yeah, what can I say? It's interesting to me. And that's not to say that like, I'm not just a cheerleader for powertrain. I think that every system is super interesting. It's really just that was my what I felt like I could contribute to the team. So that's sort of where I came in. I think it'd be really awesome to like, in a perfect world where I don't even have to go to class. Like, yeah, I'd love to spend all day learning how to do carbon layups. Like that would be crazy. I'd love to learn more about welding. There's a lot of like manufacturing that I'd love to learn, but 24 hours in a day. So
yeah, it's never enough.
Yeah.
So off of that, what else do you like to do at school besides school? Is it just TFR, sleep, school, TFR, sleep?
I wish. When I'm not here, I mean, we used to do a lot of music stuff that hasn't been as active recently. I do a lot of work in my own garage as far as just working on my own motorcycles mostly. I used to have like a cool old pickup truck too, but that thing died and it's gone. So now I just work on my bikes, but yeah, I've got a 2005 Harley and a 1958 Harley. So I got a little bit of the new and a little bit of the old going on there. I also work at a Ford dealership 3 days a week. So Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, up there fixing cars. So basically I do that, and then I come home and I like, I'm working on electrical stuff up there, and I come home and studying electrical engineering stuff down here, and it's just like never ends.
Never ending circuits all day.
Yeah. So mostly I just I do really boring car stuff all day, and then on Sundays I do homework and watch the Eagles.
So in your band, did you play an instrument, or do you still play an instrument?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a lead singer?
No, I play guitar and like bass and stuff like that. Like the one band that I play with my buddies now that just like we kind of get together mostly to drink, but also to play music at the same time. I play bass for that just because it's the available thing to play. But yeah, like in my, if you want to call it professional music career, I was a guitar player primarily. That's what I like grew up. I had maybe like 5 or 6 years of professional instruction as a kid. And then that was like what I played primarily on tour. Was just playing guitar for different people.
Cool.
Wait, Greg, real quick. Thoughts on the 2021 Bronco?
Oh man, I haven't had a chance to drive one yet, so I couldn't tell you firsthand, and I really think that's the only relevant experience. Even looks wise, it's like polarizing. My wife hates it. I think it looks pretty cool, but I feel like I could walk up next to it and be like, I don't know about this. So it's dicey. The newer Fords are. I've never been a new car guy. That's the funny thing. Like I work on new cars 3 days a week now. So I get to drive the new Rangers and the new Explorers and all this, and it's interesting, but preference-wise, I dig the older stuff for simplicity reasons. I'll let you know if I get a chance to drive one. Hopefully it's better than the Ranger. I didn't like the Ranger too much, but yeah, I mean the old Rangers were cool because they were a small truck. That was what always made the Ranger cool. It was like this tight little. I once heard it described as like the punk rock.
COVID. I'm so lost. Okay, so how did the pandemic? I need a script, guys. How do you think like the pandemic, especially COVID, and I feel like this is more like for last semester, but also this semester, how do you think it really has like affected, Powertrain or like overall just TFR and your kind of like vision for what was going to happen?
Sure. I think it's definitely put a wrench in the works. That's for sure. We really thrived on togetherness and teamwork and group work and stuff like that. So adapting to that is critical in order to like keep moving forward. One thing that Powertrain really, I mean, it's almost like my exclusive goal is to like get the car from last year running and driving in a reliable way, like a car that you would get in to go to work. Like I want us to be able to go to that car and go to work. I want us to be able to test the electric system, all of the data acquisition that was applied to that car. I want suspension. They're going through a massive redesign and they don't have like a running car to like go watch as it like tilts and turns, like it seems to me like a critical part of the engineering process that is missing. So without that, it's almost like it's hard to make redesigns to our current systems. Like I don't want to redesign an intake without having run last year's until it got super hot and really, vibrating all over the place and got a bunch of gas on it and all sorts of things that are going to happen anyway. If we don't experience that and then we go into redesign, what are you even doing? The engineering process has been lost. So yeah. Short answer is that I want the Powertrain team to really focus on generating a reliable car for both last year's car and this upcoming new car.
Awesome. And then my final question for you, Greg, is one that stumped Cybil. We interviewed her and she was stumped. But what are you looking forward to?
What am I looking forward to? I mean, that's very open-ended. Are we talking in like a specific TFR kind of sense, like a team's just?
It can be whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever you want.
You're looking forward to, like in your life or in school or in work?
I mean, not to be like super cheesy. I'm looking forward to that. Me and my wife are planning on having a kid in the next like couple years, and it's like hard to like think about other stuff. We're just like really pumped on that.
That's so cute.
That's
it's cute. Like I've been messing with bikes and cars since forever, and it's really fun, and I'm excited about also, I got all sorts of little projects I'm happy about. I'm excited to graduate college, hopefully, for like the first time in my, aging life. Yeah, but if I'm being, personal and honest, yeah, that's what I'm most excited about.
That is very exciting. That is the best answer to that question.
Yeah,
that's
that's a really good
We're
answer.
pumped. You know, she's the best, and we're stoked to start a family one.
Yeah, when are we gonna meet her, huh?
She was actually at one of the TFR like the Thanksgiving thing that we did last year, and yeah, it was unfortunate. We had a bunch of people come meet her because we had the car at my house for a little bit when COVID first started, you know. But unfortunately, social distancing and stuff, it sucks. We wanted to throw like a big party, a big barbecue for all the TFR alumni and whatnot, and we still got a rain check for that. We're waiting. Someday.
It's in the books. We're gonna do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, Greg, for joining us on this segment of the podcast. We do look forward to seeing what Powertrain does this semester, and all the best.
Awesome. Chris, Ashley, Lil, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yay.
Great to have you.
Thank you again, Greg, for joining us on the podcast. It was such an interesting interview. All right, moving on now to our hashtag TFR Pod QA segment. So when we're recording this, the first episode hasn't gone out yet, so nobody really knows about hashtag TFR Pod. So we've come up with our own questions that we kind of get asked a lot. So Ashley, do you want to ask the first one?
All right, so one of the largest questions we get asked about the team from a lot of girls, because I'm on SWE, the Society for Women Engineering, we get asked a lot how many girls are on the team. And Lil, I think, did the math, and it's 6?
5.
6? 5?
We lost a girl last year.
Yes.
Maybe
that's true.
6.
Not,
depending.
she didn't die. She didn't die.
She's out.
You made it sound like we lost her.
No.
Did she
Okay,
graduate?
she
We
had
have
graduated.
5.
She's very
yes, she graduated.
successful.
Yes.
Very well off.
We have
We
5,
might
which is
interview her.
actually it seems like a lot.
Yeah.
I
5
feel
is
like.
more than we started with, which was 4.
Well, it started with
Okay.
0. I mean.
Well, yeah. I meant when
Okay.
I started. Another question we get asked a lot is, what year do you have to join the team? We accept anyone from any level of education in college. So if you can be a freshman
If you're a little
You can be-
kindergartner, come on by. We'll love to have you.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No, we don't want children.
There might be some safety concerns
No
there.
babies in the shop.
What year were you guys when you joined the team?
I was a freshman. I was
was a
a second
freshman.
semester freshman.
I was a freshman too. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Well, look at that.
Frank.
So yeah, at any
You can join at any
level,
time,
at any year.
level, as long as you
I think
work
you just
really
have to go to
hard.
Temple.
Yeah.
Also, Chris, I have another question that we get
Oh, yeah?
often.
Yeah, what's that?
So obviously you're the social media guy, so you know a lot about social media. Who's your favorite FSAE Instagram account?
Oh, what a good question, Lil.
I know. So
I can't believe how you come up with that.
I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of good FSAE Instagram pages out there, and I don't have one off the top of my head. So next time, if you do have any questions, please use the hashtag TFR Pod on any social media platform or DM us at Temple Formula Racing on all social media platforms too. Just send us your questions. We'll read them out on the podcast. Send us your stories too. If you have any fun FSAE stories that you want to share, just let us know.
Read them anonymously. Don't worry about it.
Hashtag TFR Pod.
And joining us now is Temple Formula Racing Project Manager Cybil Seneker. So Cybil, can you tell us first off who you are, what you do on the team, your major, and why Temple?
Well, I'm a mechanical engineering student at Temple, and I am the project manager, president of the team. And pretty much what I do is I bring all of the pieces together. So you have all the different systems of the car, and I'm the person that has to make sure they all go together properly and that the project can ultimately be successful. That's my ultimate goal, is to make sure we have a successful project. Whereas obviously it's everybody's goal, but I'm the one that has to really make that happen. Where everybody, other systems have more specific goals, I definitely have to be a very big picture person and do my best to understand the specificities. Is that a word? No, that's not.
The specifics.
Specifics. Thank you. I'm thinking of a different word.
Specificity.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I'm the person that has to understand all the specifics of the different systems to know how they can be the most successful, and also how we can, lead the project in the direction it needs to go that year. So this year we're making a lot of changes, and I have to make sure that the whole team understands that we're all being cohesive together and not only trying to achieve our own system goals, but goals that make sense for the team as a whole. So and then obviously with the competition we compete in, we do have to finalize a lot of other pieces of that. And it's a little bit of my job to make sure that we're meeting all those deadlines and following all those rules as well, in terms of doing our business presentation, cost estimation of the car, and everything like that. So I think competition preparation is mostly what guides my decisions, but definitely listening to the team and working together is a big part.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you, I think I might know a little bit, but how did you join TFR, and how did you get to be the president? What's your TFR journey?
I'm an underdog. No, I wasn't. I mean, when I first joined the team, I never expected that I would actually be leading the team. I joined my sophomore year at school, first semester, and I really just wanted to learn how to weld. That was, I had signed up, and I was a big baby about it too. I was always so nervous about joining the formula racing team because I had always heard horror stories about how serious they were, and they're like, you're going to get quizzed right when you walk through the door if you know this and that about calculations and math. And I was so scared. So I never went in. And finally, I wrote my name down at Temple Fest my sophomore year. And I got an email, and they were saying they were doing a welding training thing. And I said, that would be really cool. I would love to learn how to weld. So I signed up and I went in. And one of my friends actually from freshman year was a member of TFR. And so I was able to, what's the word? Oh God. I can't even think of the word. And it's not a complicated word. It's I was, encouraged.
Okay.
I was encouraged to stay, knowing that I already had a friend on the team. So I did the welding training, and it was awesome. But then my second semester that year, I went and studied abroad. So I kind of fell off the face of the earth. And then I came back the next year and was like, hey, I had a great time. I would love to come back. And thankfully, right when I walked through the door, the president of the team that year immediately recognized me. And I didn't recognize him, but he recognized me and was like, hey, you were here last year and you were pretty good at welding. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. And so that made me feel a lot comfortable to continue and stay on the team. And I just ended up asking the right questions. I became friends immediately with our past president and some system leads. And I just, I was like, hey, how do we purchase things for the car and things like that? And just based off of kind of the way I got involved, I ended up learning a lot of skills that the president or the project manager of the team does have to know. And then when it came time at the end of the year, trying to decide who would eventually take on that role, I, by default, was the person who kind of knew the most in that regard. So it became my role. I think that's probably for the best. I mean, I guess if I could pat myself on the back, I've heard of, past presidents maybe struggling a little bit because they can't kind of detach themselves and take that big project view, the big picture view, where, being engineering students, a majority of us being engineering students, we do want to sit down and get into the nitty gritty. And it is really tough to do that because then by default, you overlook a lot of important aspects of the project if you are too focused on one specific part. So I had a lot of practice kind of looking at it, from a bigger perspective. And I think I've been able to try and do that a little bit this year, and hopefully I'll be able to continue to do that. So
cool. So I know you enjoy TFR as much as you can, but also what other things do you do outside of the club that you enjoy? instead of just building and building and building all day.
Yeah, right? I mean, it definitely is pretty much the only thing I do in my free time. But I mean, one thing I do that I could share with all of you is that I do have a podcast. So that's fitting, I guess. And that's pretty much the only other thing I do that's school related. I have a podcast with Temple's radio station, which makes it a much easier way for me to manage a podcast. But yeah, I have one. It's about urban legends in Philadelphia. So that's kind of fun. But I do that. And I actually have been an artist for a while. So I do really enjoy painting and drawing and stuff in my free time. I have a whole wall over here of some past stuff that I've done, but I really enjoy that. I enjoy photography and yeah, you know, just your classic things. But also, you know, one of my favorite things is Formula One racing too. So every Sunday I get to sit down and watch the race, as well as the entire weekend, you know, get my little bits in. But I would say those are probably what I spend my time doing if it's not school or TFR.
So you get to scratch your left brain and your right brain all the time.
Definitely.
Great.
That's
Good.
great. Well, first, you can plug your podcast. Where can people find your podcast at?
Oh yeah. Well, you can find it on Spotify. I think that's where we get most of our listeners. And it's called It's Always Spooky. So a little play on It's Always Sunny, but yeah, and it's about urban legends and ghost stories in and around the Philadelphia area. So it's been pretty exciting. And although I haven't finished editing it yet, we do have an interview with a paranormal researcher coming out soon, which is pretty exciting. So.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Moving back towards the team now, I want to talk about the COVID-19 and especially like how it's affected you and how your role on the team in general. So what can you tell us about how has COVID-19 affected what we do this semester?
So it has absolutely infiltrated our entire system this year, which is incredibly frustrating. But then again, that's, you know, how most people have been affected by COVID as well. So it's given us an opportunity, I guess, to be more familiar with the administration at the College of Engineering, which is maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing. We do like to kind of work in the shadows, but it is nice now that they're kind of recognizing maybe facilities that we don't have yet. They're maybe recognizing those things, which can be at a benefit. Pretty much what we have to really work on is obviously our safety and our health. And it's been really interesting kind of evaluating what we do in the shop and kind of recognizing that we do a very large majority of our engineering and machining and production in-house, because it's mostly those practices that are kind of being called into question of how can we make this a more safe environment. And it's really bringing to light, like, we weld everything in-house, we manufacture everything in-house, we manufacture all of our carbon fiber and aero in-house. And I kind of want to give our team a pat on the back because, you know, we do have a very large and generous budget from the school, but, you know, compared to other teams that we compete against, we do have to kind of make those sorts of decisions to manufacture more things in-house. And just really looking at the structure of the team in a different way has been one of the main, I guess, results of COVID.
Yeah, so having the COVID situation impact our ability to compete last year, how does it feel being a president who's never been to a competition? Is that like a lot for you to handle? Are you like nervous about it?
Yeah, I think that was honestly my main concern, probably at the end of last year and at the beginning of the summer. And then once I started to get busy, I haven't had the time to think about it since then. But
I'm so sorry that I brought it up then. Oh my goodness.
No, it's okay. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a concern because, or well, it was a concern because that is our ultimate goal every year is to make a car for that competition. But I always try to think about it in the way that there was somebody who had to do it first too. There was the first team at Temple that had to compete in, the FSAE Michigan formula competition and, not even get past technical inspection. And then there was the first team that did get past technical inspection. And that brings on a whole new host of understanding and being able to navigate the competition. But I feel comfortable too, even though I am, the project manager and I'm supposed to lead the team, I look forward to getting to go to competition where my teammates can lead me in that aspect and help me to kind of learn. And, there's a lot of literature online and ways for me to figure it out. We have a ton of old books and, pamphlets from years past that I feel I have a fairly good outline of what's going to happen, but obviously nothing can really prepare you for the real thing until you do it. And I guess I have a little bit of a benefit in the fact that this year's competition is going to look slightly different from the ones in the past. So maybe I can get away with it and pretend like I know what I'm doing.
Okay, so on that note of reflecting on that kind of stuff, what is one thing that you have learned thus far and that you would give advice to future teams down the line?
Oh, I've learned so much. I think I have learned everything but nothing.
That is wise.
I guess.
That is wise.
Oh.
That is very wise.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that. A lot of
the
people.
more I learn, the more I realize I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I guess.
It's no one's ever gonna know everything, right?
Yeah.
We take kind of from everyone.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, that's probably the biggest lesson I've taken away from it. And that especially goes back to my main, concerns with even joining the team in the first place. I was so nervous that I wouldn't know enough to be able to join the team. And then when I joined, I also kind of realized that a lot of people didn't even know what they were doing. And then two, we're all students. And that's why people join teams and clubs like this, is to learn with a group of equals, and to bring our, individual experiences together to try to have the best, result. And I think I really love, we always love to be like, oh, I wish we were, one of the German teams that has Porsche as their sponsor or whatever. But I love kind of the scrappy nature of our team because you do really learn so much more, I feel like. And I really recognize this in talking to one of my friends who goes to a trade school for cars. I don't know what it is exactly, but he fixes cars all the time. And I was talking to him about a TFR problem, and he was like, well, do you know it's going to work? And I'm like, well, we ran flow sims and we did this and that. And he was laughing at me. I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, so you haven't actually gotten in there with your hands? I'm like, well, of course you would say that. But then I thought about it. I'm like, well, in regards to a lot of other things we do on the team, you get that. And so you get to learn more every single day. And I guess to, people who are nervous about having to take on a system lead position or even my position, it's not that you don't necessarily have to be qualified for that position in the school realm, but obviously in the real world, I guess you kind of have to be. But especially when you're on a team with a bunch of students, there is never really going to be a time when you're qualified to do so. And you're always going to be learning from people. And kind of back to what I mentioned in competition, I'm going to learn from my other students, my fellow teammates, whether I like it or not. And I've already had this kind of similar conversation with system leads on the team this year. And yeah, I think that's the main thing to take away, that I've taken away from. Obviously a lot more, but I guess I won't know until I, find out, until I fail, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to fail, Cybil.
We're all going to be fine. Everything's fine.
The car is going to run. It's
oh man, I'm already stressed out.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you deal with that stress? Do you take a
make
break?
a crazy wall of Post-it.
Yeah, that's it.
You go insane.
Is your wall actually full of Post-it notes all the way?
Not all the way. I've taken off a lot of them. Actually, I threw a lot of them away. But
Like after exams?
I'm trying to like maintain it within a certain boundary now. It's okay.
That's good.
That's good.
I'm sure it's a really good feeling too when you take a lot off the wall.
Yeah, I do. I also like, they don't overlap each other, so it doesn't look super crazy. They're all kind of like in rows and everything. I'm not going to show it to you.
I was hoping you would just like flip
No,
out.
I'm not gonna.
I was aiming for that. Okay. All right. My last question for you, Cybil, is what are you looking forward to?
No, I mean, okay. Well, I'm honestly looking forward to like seeing the progression of the project. Like I'm looking forward to seeing what we're able to do this year. Because that's been kind of like a weird question where I don't necessarily know. And I don't think a lot of students on the team know what that looks like for us this year. Like, what does a successful year look like for us? And I think I'm interested and I'm excited to see what that is. You know, I don't know what the right answer to that is, but yeah, I think kind of operating under these conditions, it's, you know, like I've already kind of learned and noticed a lot of new things. I think the whole team will eventually like start to get to that point, and there will be something where they're like, oh my gosh, I never even realized, you know, we did this the whole time and we could have been doing this, or this opportunity was available to us. And just kind of having to work under more extreme conditions definitely always brings out like your fight or flight almost. And sometimes you get really creative. So I guess I'm interested to see like what the year looks like for the team.
Thank you, Cybil, for joining us. It was a great conversation, great interview, great questions, great answers. Thank you again.
Well, I can only thank you guys for the questions. So thank you. I was happy to
Thanks for
help.
the answers.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And that was a good interview with Cybil. We love talking to her. El Presidente.
Project manager.
El President. Yeah, project
big boss
manager.
man.
Go listen to her podcast. 3 new episodes are going to come out at some point. But we love talking to you, Cybil. As always.
And that's the end of this podcast episode for the TFR Podcast. Be sure to use the hashtag TFR Pod to get involved next time. Send us your stories, send us your questions. Use the hashtag TFR Pod. Also, if you want to use the hashtag TFR62.
Hashtag TFR62.
TFR62 is our team hashtag. TFR Pod is for the podcast. So if you have any questions, TFR Pod it is. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at Temple Formula Racing and at TU Formula Racing on Twitter. Subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Leave us a review if you're on a podcast platform that can review. And have a great day.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Day.
Bye.
Have a good weekend.